This is Tim Su. Tim, after returning from back to college, realized he had forgotten his violin at home. Not normally a big deal, but Tim was taking a music theory class and had a composition due the following week and no instrument to compose on. So, Tim, being pretty resourceful, decided to try something new. He combined a Nintendo Data Glove and a Wiimote and created this. Which he then used to create the composition for his class. This is Sarah Hendren. Sarah is standing in front of her Gorilla stickering project. You can see, if you look carefully, a semi-transparent decal which may or may not be legally applied on top of a handicap sign. The handicap icon we've all sort of grown to accept. It's essentially a wheelchair with a head stuck on top. But Sarah thought something different. If you look carefully, you can see it's a person, a real human, in motion. She was hoping that by doing this, people who might see signs like this would have thoughts like around the visual representation of peoples and disability politics and questions of human access. Well, this was a few years ago. Now these signs actually exist in various municipality buildings and schools. This is actually in front of Cambridge City Hall, so change can happen. Here is a giant human-sized hamster ball disguised as a boulder chasing a man down an alley. This is the Alley of Doom project, where the creator invited the public to participate in being filmed and reenacting a scene from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, complete with bullwhip and treasure bag. If you can see that, 150 people showed up to reenact this scene. Who wouldn't want to do this, anyone? So what do these three projects have in common, aside from the fact that they're all freaking awesome? Well, they were in fact all funded by the Awesome Foundation, whose mission, naturally, is forwarding the interest of awesome in the universe. So how did it get started? A group of us got together about 4 years ago and decided to do something pretty different. We believed that there was a lot of latent awesome in the world, and by that we meant a lot of projects and a lot of great ideas that weren't actually happening. And they weren't happening because the individual ideators and creators maybe didn't have the small amount of money they needed to get started or didn't have somebody that believed in them. And many of us had been through the traditional grant process. I don't know if you've been through one of these before, but they're actually pretty horrible. We have to go through paperwork and jump through hoops and all sorts of inflexibility, so we wanted to do things a little differently. So this is how we did it. 10 of us got together. We each committed $100 of our own money on a regular basis every month to chip in. We recognized that $100 by itself may not be able to do that much for a given project, but pulled together, $1,000 might actually get somebody to pull something off the ground. So essentially that's what we did. We invited people on our website to come and tell us a little bit about their awesome idea. Once a month, we got together as a small group of 10. We would decide who had the most awesome idea, and we would give them $1,000 cash upfront, no strings attached. So something interesting happened when we did this. The word got out through word of mouth and through the internet. And we began to see these, these ideas, we began to see applications, as we expected, come from all over the world. What we didn't expect is that we would strike a nerve with givers as well as receivers. In fact, we learned that there are just as many people in the world who want to give as receive. And those givers want to be part of an active philanthropic environment that involves them being part of supporting their local community rather than just donating money to a faceless charity. These dots don't represent individual grants that we've given. They actually represent groups of people around the world who have made a regular commitment to support their own community. In fact, as of just a few days ago, we have up to 89 chapters in 18 countries around the world, and as of the spring, we'll have given away $1 million of our own money. So, how did this growth happen? Well, I can tell you it didn't happen because of our refined organizational structure. We actually have no formal organization. It didn't happen because of our singular leadership. Actually, nobody's in charge. And it didn't happen because of our refined strategic plan, something we've never really gotten around to doing. So what did cause this growth? Well, we believe it was caused primarily by the principles and the characteristics of the organization itself. Principles like low barrier to entry. So what began as a desire to have anyone, anywhere with an idea be able to pull that idea off translated very easily into having anyone, anywhere who wanted to start a chapter do it. I think lightweight would be an understatement. Essentially, find 9 friends, decide to give away some money, and tell people, and then you've formed a chapter. Other principles like balanced power dynamics. So there are really 3 components. The first is we make 0 demands of our applicants, which means that they don't have to tell us how they spent the money. They don't even need to do the project they told us they were going to do. Second, we don't say what awesome is. That's up to the imagination of our applicants. And third, no one in the chapter is in charge. Essentially, we make decisions collectively every month about who receives the money. And if we need to make another decision, well, there's only 10 of us, so there's no need for complicated structure or governance process to make that happen. Well, it turns out these principles trickle down pretty well to the formations of chapters. In fact, several chapters formed the Awesome Foundation before we even knew they had. Many people don't ask us for permission, nor do they need to. And every chapter that's formed is built on its own structure, rules, and ideas. We're also constantly fiddling with things at the chapter level. Whoever has an idea often just puts it into place. And it works rather well in a relatively small group. Well, it turns out it works pretty well in the foundation writ large as well. For example, we have chapters that have formed not around geographic places, but around themes. So we have Awesome Without Borders, which funds chapters in areas that otherwise don't have chapters. And Awesome Food, which funds, well, food awesomeness. So we didn't, this wasn't a complete free-for-all. One of our trustees, Christina Shu, had this idea that small amounts of structure applied in very specific places could help awesomeness spread to areas of the United States and potentially the world that might not otherwise have awesomeness. And so in 2011, she formed the Institute for Higher Awesome Studies, of course, of which she was the official chancellor, and tried to make those things happen. She also helped us realize that, that much like Voltron, you all know who Voltron is, right? Okay, good. That much like Voltron, instead of robotic lions coming together to form a giant robot, we were, our each individual chapter, likewise, was a self-contained, independent, and powerful unit on its own. But as we were looked at as a whole, in many ways, we could be far more powerful as a single unit than as a sum of our individual components. The big difference being that, unlike Voltron, we don't necessarily wake up every day to battle evil. We might make a dent in evil every once in a while. It's more likely that we gain power much like cute internet kittens coming together instead of robotic lions. So if you imagine a Voltron of cute internet kittens, I think you have the right idea. And of course, if you'd like to be a cute internet kitten as part of our Kitten Voltron, you should apply, because I'm confident that all of you have awesome ideas. Also, if you would like to start a chapter, don't ask for our permission. Thank you.